Hey guys, welcome to the Clean Green Being channel. I'm Erin and today's video is the first in a series that I'm doing on all things baby. So be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any. Now I am no expert on parenting by any means, but when I was pregnant I would lay on my couch almost every night watching videos of other moms helping me to make decisions on certain products to buy or just learning things or helping me prepare for different things like what to pack in my hospital bag and things like that. So I see this series as my way of paying it forward, and I hope that maybe there are some tips that I've learned or lessons that I've learned along the way that can help you. So I just put my daughter to bed and it's her 2-month birthday today, so I figured if I've made it through the first 2 months and lived to tell about it, now was a good time to do a video on surviving the night with a newborn. Tip number 1, get yourself ready for bed before you put your baby to bed. I don't know how many nights I have found myself washing my face and brushing my teeth at 2 in the morning because I was so focused on getting her to bed and making sure that I had everything together for her, that I was following her bedtime routine, that I didn't think about myself. And by the time I actually had a minute to get away, it was 2 in the morning, and the last thing I wanted to do was leave my bedroom and go wash my face. But you think that you're just going to put the baby to sleep and then you can go finish your routine, but a lot of times it doesn't work out that way, so don't forget about yourself when you're getting your baby ready for bed. Tip number 2, make sure you have everything you think you may need throughout the course of the night within arm's reach. My baby's within arm's reach of me in the bassinet next to me, so everything else should be in arm's reach too. If I don't have to get out of bed to reach over and get her to feed her, I don't want to have to get out of bed for anything else. I actually found that I was accumulating so many things the first couple of nights in my bed, on the floor next to our bed, that I moved one of the 3-drawer storage units from her closet down next to our bed so that I could be a little more organized with that, and I keep some of these items in that next to me. Those include all of the diaper supplies, diapers, wipes, diaper cream, extra outfits for her. I don't know how many times I've had to change her outfit in the middle of the night because we had a diaper leak. I keep snacks for myself in that as well, because especially if you're breastfeeding, you get hungry at night and it's nice to have something quick to munch on, a cereal bar or something, so that you don't have to run to the kitchen. I also keep a bottle of water next to me because I try to stay hydrated throughout the night, and if I don't have a bottle next to me, then it's easy for me to forget and I'm not going to run down to the kitchen and get it in the middle of the night. Some other things that I make sure that I have are pillows. I'm breastfeeding, so I need to make sure that I have everything situated for that. I use the Haka breast pump, and I tend to use that during the early hours when supply is up, and I need to have that right next to me or I'm not going to run anywhere else and get it, and I'm going to start missing out on a couple of ounces of express milk that I could have already accumulated by the time we even get out of bed in the morning. If you're using nipple shields, it's a good idea to have extras of those because those are the easiest things to lose. So make sure you have extras, period, and make sure you have extras with you at night, because that is one thing you do not want to be searching for, those tiny little clear things. Burp cloths, if you're using pacifiers, it's a good idea to have extras of those because I've lost them between the bed and the wall and not been able to get them and needed to run around finding another one in the middle of the night. Anything that you give baby for comfort, like gripe water, gas drops, anything that you need for comfort, Motrin or any other pain medication that you might be on post-delivery. And a couple of things for yourself: chapstick, earbuds, earplugs. I know it might sound a little bit mean, but if you have a baby that's fussing for a couple of hours, just to help with your sanity, it's not a bad idea to have earplugs just to kind of cut down on some of that and help maintain your patience. And last but not least, make sure you have your phone charger. I have a couple of tips ahead that involved the use of my phone, so A couple of times it died and my charger was downstairs, and I felt like I was just literally left in the dark with nothing to do in the middle of the night when I was wide awake. Also, a sound machine I think is a must. I know that's not something that needs to be in arm's reach for this tip, but I do want to mention it because we didn't have one. I don't know why, but we didn't have one when we first came home from the hospital, and I found myself playing YouTube videos of white noise. I even found that they have pink noise on Apple Music, and if you're wondering what pink noise is, I actually found it when I was looking for white noise, and it's like a softer version of white noise is the only way I could describe it, but I really liked the sound of that, so I played that until we could order a real sound machine online, and that came, and we've been sleeping with that every night since. And that's not just for your baby and making sure that you drown out other noises so they sleep, that's also for you. Babies are noisy sleepers. You're not going to miss their cry if they're hungry and they need you. Trust me, you're not going to sleep through that with the sound machine on. But all the little coos and squeaks and all of those little noises that they make can keep you up. So the sound machine really helps with that as well. Tip number 3, make sure you know ahead of time what your baby's going to sleep in, and make sure that you have different options for it. And this was important for me, and something that I wish I would have known before I came home from the hospital, because my daughter was born in February, and when we came home from the hospital, the house was just cold because we hadn't been there for a few days, and it was just cold because it was snowing outside. And that first night, I was so stressed out about making sure that she was warm enough, and I was really concerned about what we would put her in, and we ended up putting her in a little footed sleeper, and then inside a little swaddle wrap with the Velcro, and then I put one more swaddle blanket around all of that because I didn't think that those 2 layers were warm enough. And I really like the Lulu & Company swaddles because their fabric is just very thin and stretchy, and it was something that was easy to swaddle around 2 layers of additional fabric inside, and that was really a game changer at night for me. The Lulu & Company also makes hats that I used at night because they were just really soft, and I felt like they kept her warm but weren't going to overheat her. And then their mittens as well. Once we released her arms at night, she's now in a sleeveless swaddle, I started putting the mittens on her to make sure that her hands, number 1, stayed warm, and that she didn't, number 2, scratch her face. And the Lulu & Company mittens are made of that same really nice silky soft fabric that the swaddles and hats are made of, and they're the only gloves honestly that stay on. So those are some essentials that I've had with me at night for things for my daughter to sleep in. Tip number 4, make sure that your partner knows how they can help you throughout the night. They want to help, but I think a lot of times they're just not clear on all of the different things that they can do to help, especially if it's your first child. So make sure that you verbalize that to them, and also don't be afraid to ask. It's okay to wake them up in the middle of the night if you need help with something. Some things that they can do are changing diapers, burping the baby, helping feed them if you're bottle feeding the baby, cleaning your pump parts if you're pumping at night, and getting the milk into the fridge, filling up your water bottle if it's empty. There are different ways that they can be super helpful, and honestly, sometimes the biggest help is just having another person awake with you when it's the middle of the night and you're exhausted and you just need someone else to be awake with you and just kind of be together and not feel so isolated in the middle of the night. Tip number 5, make sure that you have something to do that can help keep you alert and awake in the middle of the night. It's so easy when you're feeling exhausted to start to drift off when you're holding the baby or rocking them or feeding them, and that's just really not safe. So there are a couple of things that I have found that really keep me alert in the middle of the night, and one of them has been listening to podcasts. I listen to music some, but I find that the podcasts keep me a little more mentally engaged and therefore a little more alert at night. I was watching TV at first when we first came home from the hospital, but the light and the sound was just too distracting for my daughter, so I switched over to earbuds and my phone, and that has really helped me. Just a suggestion for a podcast if you're not sure where to start. I listened to 4 Things with Amy Brown. It's just a really uplifting and positive podcast, and she talks about a lot of different natural things that she does, and she has on a lot of really neat guest speakers, and it's just really uplifting and bright, and it's something nice in the middle of the night. I also listen to the Dirty John podcast, and I don't know that that's everyone's cup of tea for middle of the night listen, because it's about the true story about a con man. Really interesting, but I don't know if that's everyone's type of podcast they would want in the middle of the night. But anyway, those are the 2 that I was kind of hooked on at first, at least. Other things that I've done is just making notes of some of the memories that I don't want to forget. There are things that I want to record of my daughter, especially when I came home from the hospital. There were just so many moments and little funny stories that happened that I just wanted to write down and remember and be able to tell her someday, but I wasn't finding the time during the day to do it. So I just start to think back on the past couple of days, and I just make notes on my phone so that I can go back at some point and write them down or write them in a letter to her, whatever I decide to do with them. But it's been helpful for me to just jot some things down and make sure that I don't forget them. Some other things I do on my phone are cleaning up pictures. I take 10,000 pictures every day trying to get that cute one of her smiling. So when do I have the time to go back and delete all of the other ones? Middle of the night. So cleaning up my photo gallery on my phone. Grocery list. Make your grocery list. My grocery store does free curbside pickup, so I'll actually place my grocery order online. That's something that's really beneficial because it helps keep you awake, but it also marks something off your list for the next day. So I'll place my order online at night, and then the next day I can have someone go pick it up for me. And then the last thing is just in between all of these different things is just being present. I know I'm going to look back and miss this even in the frustrating times, and sometimes I just look down at my daughter's face and I listen to her breathing and I watch her little eyelids fluttering, and I just try to be present in that moment and just soak it all in because I just want to experience it while I can and while she's so little. Tip number 6, mentally prepare for the night. I have found it to be so incredibly important for me to get myself into a positive headspace before bed, and that has really changed my attitude toward bedtime. At first, I was finding myself getting this sense of dread in the evenings. It was like I'd get through the day and it would be a great day, and then in the evenings my daughter was getting a little fussier, the sun goes down, and I was just getting this sense of dread because I didn't know how the night was going to be. It might be good, but it might be awful, and what if it was awful? And I really had to change that thinking. I had to just let it go because it might be an awful night, but that's okay. It's only a couple of hours and the night's not going to last forever. I know it's hard to have that mentality in the middle of the night when you're a couple of hours into the fussy baby, but truly, it won't last forever, and you just have to be patient and get through it. Also, give yourself grace. This is one of the best pieces of advice I've been given because I've been so hard on myself, and I think that most moms are because you want to do everything exactly right for your child, but it's just, you're not perfect and you're learning. It doesn't matter if it's your first child or your 10th child, you're still learning. Every kid is different, and not only are you learning, but they are too. And I found this to be one of my biggest lessons with learning breastfeeding. Not only was I learning, but she was learning too, and I had to be patient. And so give yourself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing a good job, and you have to just take a step back, take a breath, and remember that. Also, you have to remember that this isn't going to last forever, these moments in the middle of the night. And I know that it's hard, but sometimes I'll just look down at my daughter and think, someday I'm going to miss this, and I'm going to, wish that I could have a couple of these nights back, and I don't want to miss anything. So that's it. I'm curious to know if any of these tips were helpful to you, or if there are any that you have to share with me that I didn't have noted here. And also, if you want to leave some comments below, I'm curious on some topics that you're interested in that I could do some future videos on. I'd love to add them to this series. So thanks for watching.